We're going to go over 3 questions in this training video. What are forms? How do I make forms? And what do I do with forms? First question, what are forms? Forms are a great new feature in Studiometry 12.5. A form is just a saved list of questions that can be sent to your clients for a response or entered locally by you. Forms are a great way to get information from your clients and store it in an organized manner in Studiometry. You can create forms that are always available for clients to enter, or you can create forms that you send to a client as a sort of request that they respond to once. You can do a lot of cool things with the responses to your forms. You can create projects, to-dos, and logs, and you can even have the forms fields linked to properties of these created items. Question 2. How do I create forms? First, we need to go to the Forms section in Studiometry's group list. If this isn't here, just click on the gear icon on the bottom left of Studiometry and select View Settings, and then make sure that Forms is checked in the Show Groups list. When we're here, we go to the Form Templates subsection, and from there we can create a new form template. If we click on the plus button down here, it'll bring up the form editing window. Here we can enter the name of the form, the availability, which is when a client can access the form, and the form action, which is the type of item that is created when we review the responses to the form. After that, we can add the actual fields for the form. There are 4 field types. You have text, big text, checkbox, and menu. They're pretty self-explanatory. Text is just one line of text that you can enter in. Big text is a larger field. A checkbox is a Boolean value where you can have it checked or unchecked. And then a menu is a customizable list of items. Now, your menus, you can have either a custom list that you enter, or you can actually have Studiometry pre-populate the menu with specific items from your Studiometry data. So if we click Edit here, you can change the menu to be a list of your employees, or project statuses, or project categories, or even the projects that are associated with whatever client is entering the form currently. So once we have all these set up, we'll enter the field names and then maybe some optional field descriptions which will help the client when they're entering the form to better understand what they're doing. I'll just set these up really quick. And there we go. I've created just a quick sample form. It has the 4 fields, and I've just entered names and some extra information to make it a little more easy to understand when someone is entering the form. I've also renamed it, and I've changed the form action here to create project. What that means is when this form is entered, either by you or by the client, you can actually review the form and create a project that will pull data from the entered information and pre-populate the project with that data. Each field on a form can be linked to a specific property of the project. So if I pull up this list, I can change this to name so that this field will automatically become the name of the project that is created when I review the form. And we can do that for every field, just really quickly. And now when this form is reviewed after it's been submitted, the project will be created and it will automatically have all of this data added to the project. It's a great, easy way to automate the process of receiving information and adding that to your Studiometry database. The other big setting when you're editing a form template is the form availability. Now this will only apply if you're using Studiometry Cloud, because Studiometry Cloud is the only way to allow clients to actually enter the forms themselves. The 3 options for form availability are always, only when sent, and specific clients. Only when sent is pretty obvious in that you can send the form to your client and they will receive a notification that there's a request to respond to the form. It will appear in their Studiometry Cloud account. They can enter it and fill out the information, and then that will actually come back into your Studiometry as a form awaiting review. You'll get a notification. It's a very smooth process. It's pretty great. The other 2 options are always and specific clients. And for both of these options, always just means every client, and specific clients, you can select a list of clients that can access the form. But for both of those, the form will actually always appear within their Studiometry Cloud account. So they can always go there and enter out the form whenever they'd like, You don't have to actually send the request. And when they do enter the form, you'll still receive the notification and it will still appear as a form awaiting review, but it's just that they can do it whenever they'd like. So that's the difference between the different form availabilities. Now, if you're not using Studiometry Cloud, what you can do is just enter the form locally, or you can receive the information from your client and enter the form yourself. But really the forms are the most powerful when you have the ability to send it to your client and just let them respond with the information and put it directly into your system. Okay, so we'll save this form and move on to question 3. How do we use forms? Now, every time that you create a form template, it will be added to your list of form templates right here. You can always come back in and modify them, change the action or the fields or anything you'd like later. But when you want to actually use one of these, there's several ways that you can do this. An easy way is just to actually go here and right-click on a form template, and then you can select either Send Form to Client, which again requires Studiometry Cloud, or Enter Form, which will let you enter it locally within Studiometry. For this example, we'll just enter the form here. I'll hit Enter Form, and then we select either a client or project that we want to link the entered form to. So now we can see here is the form entry view, and it has all of the fields from before, but we can actually type in the response, and it's just a quick and easy way to enter this information. I'll fill out this form really quick. All right, and then when I hit Submit Form, it will submit the form information that I just entered, and then we can see here that now I have a form awaiting review. Now, when you enter a form locally, it will put it as a form awaiting review, and the same will also happen if a client enters a form on Studiometry Cloud. So you'll always see which forms need to be reviewed. You can come here, and then we can see information about the form, the date it was entered, what it's associated with, and we can actually double click on it and review it. We can see the information that was entered by the client, or if we entered it locally, by us, and then we can perform the actions. For this one, it's a project, so if we created the project, it would fill out all this information in the project. If we get to this point and we don't want to perform the form action, we would just hit Reject Form down here, and that would remove it from the forms awaiting review and just mark it as rejected. So I'll hit Create Project to perform the action for this, and it will bring up the new project window and automatically populate it with the details from the form. And then when I hit OK, we can see that it was reviewed on a specific date. We can actually go directly to the project from the form itself, and then we can see that these fields are no longer editable because this form has been reviewed and it is done. So when I hit Done, we can see that the form name was used to fill out the project name, to enter the project status, to automatically add notes, and we actually even had a field that created a project spec. So there's a lot that you can do with the forms, and with just the one click to create the project from the form, we entered all this information and created a brand new project in Studiometry. Another quick way to use forms in Studiometry is directly within a client or project overview. You can see there's a forms section within the client and project overviews, and you can just click the plus button to bring up the form window. This will then let you select if you want to send it to the client for entry or enter it yourself within Studiometry, and then you can choose the form template that you want to use. And when we hit OK, it'll just bring up another form entry window. When we enter this information and we submit the form, it will be linked to either the client or the project that we created it from. So those are forms. If you have any questions or need any help, you can always get a hold of us and find more resources at support.oranged.net.